Hello, good evening. Today I'll be talking about writing a witness statement. I want to begin by saying that I am not a legal advisor, I'm not a law professional, and if you do want any legal advice, it would be advisable for you to contact somebody who is qualified in the legal profession. Once again, I am not a law professional. Okay, so today I'll be speaking about writing witness statements for employment tribunals in the UK. So if you're based in a different country, please be aware that some of this information may not apply to you. So this is information for tribunals in the UK. So if you're not based in the UK, this definitely does not apply to you. And once again, I am not a lawyer, I'm not a law professional, I am unable to offer any legal advice. And if you are in any need for professional legal support, I would advise you to connect the verified channels, the verified persons, but not me. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal advisor, so please. So I'm actually due to attend an employment tribunal next week, starting on Wednesday, the 26th of March, until. So we're scheduled to start Wednesday, the 26th of March, up until the 3rd of April, which is a Thursday. So we've been scheduled in for 6 days, and we finally exchanged witness statements, which is why I thought I'd do this video, just to give some tips and some advice based on my experiences. But once again, it would be advisable for you to get professional support where needed. Right, so the witness statement is pretty much the last thing that both parties do. So it's usually a week or a couple of weeks before the final hearing takes place. We were due to exchange a lot earlier. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we've exchanged very late, but usually it is a couple of weeks earlier. Once again, this is information for an employment tribunal in the UK. So if you're based in a different country, this information may not apply to you. And if you do need legal support, I would advise you to contact a professional, someone that can give you legal advice, because I am not qualified. And once again, I am due to attend an employment tribunal next week. Hi, Xander Toy Reviews. Good to see you in the live. Please like my live. Okay, so I'm representing myself. I can't afford a lawyer, so this whole process has been myself. Hi, Olivia V234. Hi, I'm wondering if I can pronounce that or if I need to just say it. Hi, JJ KWFDNVR. Thank you for liking my lives, people. As I was saying, I will be representing myself, and we're scheduled for the employment tribunal starting next week, Wednesday the 26th of March, for 6 days up until the 3rd of April. If you would like to watch the live stream of my employment tribunal, I can give you an email address. If you send them an email, give them my case number, they will give you access to watch the live of the hearing in the next 6 days. Sorry. Hi, AHDR1. Okay, so the email address, if you would like to join the live stream next week of my employment tribunal, the email address is Central London ET Public Access at justice.gov.uk. So that's CentralLondon ETPUBLICACCESS at JUST ice.gov.uk, and my case number is 32004804/2024. So you would need to email that address in advance, quote the case number, and they will give you access. So the first tip in writing a witness statement is to find out if there is a word count. That's really important. So some places do give you a word count, other places they don't. So you would need to, if you do have a lawyer or a representative, you need to clarify whether or not there is a word count. Some places don't have a word count. Your witness statement for the employment tribunal would need to be typed and not handwritten. So if you're able to type your witness statement for the employment tribunal, that would be very helpful, not handwritten. If you don't have the resources to type your witness statement, you can speak to your representative, or perhaps you can highlight it to the person overseeing your tribunal case, and request access to have it typed. Or maybe if you go to your local library, they may have support there for you. Each paragraph needs to be numbered. So, so the first paragraph, number 1, next paragraph, 2, 3, 4. So each paragraph does need to be numbered. This next guidance, I'm not sure if it will be relevant to you. However, it does say here, use 1.5 line spacing and at least a 12-point font that is easy to read. So obviously make sure that the font is at least 12 point, easy to read, and the spacing is 1.5 lines. As I'm reading that, I've realised that I may not have done that. Also, where possible, you should reference relevant documentation within your witness statement. So what that means is you will have something called a bundle, and as you write your witness statement for the tribunal, if you're about to reference a document, say you've submitted an email or something, or a payslip or something, if you're about to reference it, you put the page number in brackets. Okay, so you'll write your sentence, and then if there's a document that you are referring to, you put in brackets page da da da. So you open brackets, page da da da, close brackets. I would recommend referencing documentation or anything else that's in the bundle that can support any part of your statement, your witness statement. The reason I say that is during the employment tribunal, you help the court come to a decision with as much evidence as you can gather. And I'll just leave that there. Say what happened in the order that it happened in. So state the incidents in chronological order. I haven't done that. It is helpful to do it that way, but what I've done is I've addressed the legal issues. So I've done a heading for each issue, and I've addressed it that way. So that way, hopefully, it will make it easier to follow. I addressed the legal issues. So I addressed the questions that is embedded within the claim. So what I will say is make sure you address the key issues. Xander's toy reviews. Do you sell toys, or you review them? Like, which way round is it? Yeah. So as much as you can, be clear, concise, calm, and respectful. I would advise you do not disrespect anybody in your witness statement for the tribunal. I would suggest you stay professional at all times. I would recommend you don't insult anybody. I would recommend you just stick to the facts and not get triggered in your statement. Be honest, be objective, avoid exaggerating or embellishing what happened. And it's in our human nature. Obviously, if something happens and somebody comes to ask me, obviously I'm gonna like sway the story and be like, oh my gosh, guess what they done? They done this, they done that. But try to be objective. Try not to go wild with the, you know, just let's just try not to exaggerate or embellish the facts, because that can go against us. I would say be as measured as you can. I would say leave emotions. Just leave the emotions out of your witness statement for the tribunal. I would say I would say be polite, be respectful, don't insult anybody, be measured, be concise, be objective, and try not to use unnecessary words where possible. Try and just stick to what's happened. Try and stick to what you're actually there for. I did find it difficult doing that because obviously as you go through as you document what happened, I must say you do get triggered, you know, or you remember different things that happened. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Can't believe what they said about me. So it's easy to get triggered. We're all human. But when you're documenting it, try not try and just try not to exaggerate or embellish it or, you know, go OTT, which is over the top. Like just try not to overdo it. And just also as well be human, you know, just be human, because when I've read, their witness statements, a couple of comments they've made, I agree with. Do you see what I mean? Like it's not everything the opposite party says that you will disagree with. Well, in my opinion anyway, there are things that there there will probably there probably statement there are statements they've made about me that are true. I'm not going to fight them on everything. We can agree on stuff, especially about my, you know, especially, I don't say too much, but I'm just saying there will be things that they say that you can agree with. You can be like, yeah, you know, yeah, it's true. We're all human, so, and we're not. I personally don't believe that when you go to an employment tribunal, you're trying to make out that you're as perfect can be. I do not believe that's what it's there for, you know. So I'm not going to try and play into the narrative that I have never done anything wrong, they've done everything bad. No, life isn't life isn't as straightforward as that. So I personally would say, I think the word is combative. Don't be too combative. It's not every little thing that they say you'll be like, no, no, I didn't, no, I never, no, no, it's not true. Like, I would just say there's some things that they'll say, hey, I'll give you that, you can have that, you know. So that's my advice anyway, because you can end up just coming across as argumentative, and even if you are, that's not a good look. Right. So the whole point of writing a witness statement for the employment tribunal is so that you give a clear and accurate account in order for the to make an informed decision. So, the whole point of making a clear and accurate witness statement for the employment tribunal is so that the court can make an informed decision. You don't want to create barriers in getting the outcome that you want, so it's important to find out what would be useful to the team and to give them that. So, if they need your witness statement typed, type it up. If they want 2.1 line spacing, do that. If they want it in 12-point font, do that. If they don't want it, if they don't want an account that's full of emotion and exaggerating, embellishment, don't let it be. So basically, help them to help you. Yeah. Also, as well, where possible, and I haven't done this, but where possible, try and make it contain facts and not opinion. When I think back on mine, I think I did include a couple of opinions, but if possible, just contain facts. Yeah? Be as factual as you can. But when I'm honest, my one did contain quite a few opinions. But I'm quite an I'm quite an opinionated person, so can't be helped. Another tip is, where possible, avoid lengthy quotes from documentation. And earlier, what I did say is that it would be a good idea to reference documents in the bundle. So what you do, you write your sentence, you write your point, and then you open brackets, write down page number, then you close brackets. So this indicates to the person reading that the comment that you've just made is supported by the document on this page number. Therefore, if the person reading your witness statement for the tribunal is going back and forth between your witness statement and the bundle and the documents in the bundle, you probably don't need to quote from the bundle. So try not to take lengthy quotes into your witness statement when you could just simply reference the documentation itself. There are points where I have quoted directly from the bundle, but it's just a couple of words and I've put the page number down. Hopefully you know what I mean. Do not write any false statements. Write it yourself. Don't allow anybody to write it for you. Obviously, people that have representation may have that support where somebody will say, oh, I have guidelines, I have guidance, hey, your introduction needs to be like this, the body of your work needs to be this, oh, this part is just too, you've used too many unnecessary words here. So you may have a representative or a friend or a family member or a legal advisor. You may have somebody that's guiding you to write your witness statement for the tribunal. You may have that support. However, you need to be able to sign that documentation and say that you take full responsibility for documenting that statement yourself. So although well-meaning people, a well-meaning lawyer, a well-meaning representative, well-meaning family member, or well-meaning partner may say, hey, let me write it for you, hey, let me tweak it a bit, or let me just fix it up for you. That's all well and good, but ultimately you need to be able to stand in court and not swear, because you may not be religious. You will have to stand in court and affirm or swear that you are the author of this witness statement. also as well, you're more likely than not to be cross-examined if you attend in person. So if you're being cross-examined and you're not sure what has been written in that witness statement, they are going to clean the floor with you. They're going to wipe the floor with you. You're going to be toast. So make sure, you know, maybe you were unable to document it yourself and somebody had to write it for you. Somebody had to write it on your behalf. Maybe you have some challenges in documenting it for yourself and someone has assisted you. But in that case, make sure you're well versed in what it says and make sure that what they have documented reflects your reality accurately, is all I'm saying. A good idea, which is something that I didn't do and I regret not doing, I wish I had done, is you should actually print out your witness statement. If you print it out and then read it and maybe highlight parts, because I found that I made some stupid little mistakes, like, you know, incorrect dates or just stupid little mistakes in the witness statement that I didn't notice until I had actually printed it out. But by the time I printed it out, it was by the time I printed it out, it was too late because I'd already sent it. Sorry, somebody sent me a message. Sorry, guys. Sorry, what I was saying is that what I wish that I had done is that what I was saying is that what I wish that I had done is that I wish that I had printed out the my witness statement beforehand and then gone through it with a highlighter and then maybe edited it electronically before sending it by email. There's something about, for me anyway, there's something about having a hard copy and being able to go through it and correct it and read it and just having a physical copy that is quite beneficial. So that's something that I didn't do that I would definitely recommend that you do if you print out your witness statement and go through it that way in physical form. Like I said, it can be triggering. I found it triggering, preparing it, having flashbacks, remembering different things. And what's funny is that I realised that I'd actually, you know, not forgotten, but I'd actually buried stuff. And by going through the statement, it kind of just brought it all back to me, which can be quite upsetting. Yeah. So where you can, pace yourself, look at the deadline that you have and do it over a number of days. What I mean by that is that it's always helpful if you are able to eat and sleep between drafts. And what I mean by that is if you're able to make a draft, leave it alone, go away, go to sleep, wake up, have breakfast, come back to it, work on it again, go away, leave it alone, have another sleep, eat, and then go back to it with fresh eyes. I find that there's a huge benefit in going back to it over a course of a few days rather than just writing all of it in one sitting. Yeah? But depending on how you would like to do things, you may just decide to just you just might decide to do one and done, and so you know, do what works for you. What I'll also say is don't pressure yourself. Try not to become anxious in regards to having it. You know, you don't. It doesn't need. It is important. However, you don't need perfection. So although it is important, don't pressure yourself to the point of feeling sick or anxious or stressed or overwhelmed, okay? If you do need help in putting it together and you don't have a representative or a law professional, perhaps you can reach out to somebody in your support network. So maybe, you know, somebody you trust, a family member, a loved one, somebody in your church, somebody in your running club, somebody in your cycling group. Maybe there's somebody you know who you trust that you're able to reach out to for support. Or there's lots of charities out there. If you have some, perhaps you have dyslexia, or you're just not good at reading and writing and you need support in regards to that. In fact, if you actually reach out to the court, they will be able to assist you or signpost you to where you can get support with that. Or if you need reasonable adjustments, perhaps that's something that you can discuss with them. For whichever reason, perhaps you'd rather make an audio statement, but that's something that you can discuss. Okay, so try not to pressure yourself. You know, just try not to pressure yourself. Stress is a killer. So some people would say, oh, just tell the truth, just be honest, just tell the truth, and you'll be fine. I would say gather as much evidence as you can. No, it's a lot harder to argue with evidence. You cannot dismiss evidence. So, in regards to your witness statement for tribunal, gather as much evidence as you can. As I said earlier, I will be attending an employment tribunal next week for 6 days, starting on the 26th of March up until the 3rd of April. If you would like access to join the live stream, I'll give you the email address that you need to email in advance and request access. So the email address you need to reach out to is Central London ET Public Access at justice.gov.uk. That's Central London ET Public Access at justice.gov.uk. And my case number is 3200480 /2024. That's 3200480 /2024. So you will need to email that email address in advance to get access to be able to watch the live stream for my employment tribunal. I will be representing myself. I have been doing so far, and it would mean a lot to me to have some support and also some feedback. I'll probably live stream after each session and get some feedback. That would be really helpful. So what I have said, and also again, I want to reiterate: if you are a claimant or a respondent in a employment tribunal in England, please seek representation. Please seek legal advice. Please contact a law professional or the Citizens Advice Bureau. I am not a legal professional. I am not giving legal advice. I am not somebody to rely on if you're in that type of situation, because I don't even have representation myself. I'm representing myself, and who knows, I may even lose the case. Right. Once again, if you would like access to join the live stream for my employment tribunal next week, you will need to email in advance Central London ET Public Access at justice.gov.uk, and my case number is 3200480 /2024. So, just to go over what we've, and my last point is, what I was about to say is that some people, when you're involved in an employment tribunal, they'll be like, oh, just tell the truth, the truth will save the day. What I would say is gather your evidence. So it may be recordings, You know, it may be screenshots, it may be emails, it may be documentation, it may be payslips, it may be company policy. You know, just gather your evidence. Make sure that the evidence is contained in the bundle. I'm having issues at the moment in regards to that, but make sure that your documentation is contained in the bundle. Therefore, this will mean that when you do compose your witness statement for the tribunal, you'll be able to reference your evidence. Sometimes we do need to take emotions out of things. Obviously, we do feel really strongly about things that we've been through and about how we feel things should go, but it's good to just stick to the facts, try not to become emotional, and reference evidence is what I'll say. I'll say those things would be the best things to do. Yeah. Also, documents can be verified. You know, documents can be cross-referenced. So I would say gather your evidence. Gather your evidence. Try and make your witness statement for your employment tribunal comprehensive. Which means all inclusive, involving lots of things, overarching, complete, all embracing, across the board, meaning that it will cover all the information you need. One of the things that I do as well, you know, sometimes you use a word, or you know a word, you know how to spell it, but you don't actually know what it means. What I do is sometimes, like today, when I was going to use the word comprehensive, I thought to myself, actually, what does comprehensive even mean? And I looked it up, the meaning. So what I would say is, where possible, don't use words that you don't know the meaning to. That's my advice. That's what I try and do, and I look things up a lot. But where possible, don't try and use words you don't know the meaning of, because I'm always looking up words. I'm always looking up words. Even words that I use. Some words that I use, sometimes I think, like concise. I had to look up that word today because I thought, what does it even actually mean? Like, and then when I looked it up, I thought, okay, I do know what it means. But what I will say is that when you're going to write your witness statement, don't use unnecessary words, and make sure you know the meaning of all the words that you use. Don't fall into that trap, okay? Also, as well, in general, good advice is, if somebody uses a word and you don't know the meaning, ask them. Say, oh, what does that mean? Just ask them, yeah? So, and don't, you know, we're all learning. Don't be shy. You know, it's best to know. And I find that sometimes when people use a word and I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Sometimes they don't know. So, you know, it's good for us to just always keep updating our own knowledge. So, am I happy with my witness statement? I believe I could have spent more time on it, but I really did find it triggering. Like, I did find it really upsetting. I found it really upsetting. So, I probably didn't spend as much time on it as I could have. I tried to make it easy reading, but I feel like maybe I made it sound more complicated than it was by trying to make it sound simple. My line spacing was off, because apparently you're meant to have is it was it use 1.5 line spacing or something. I didn't do that, but this is why it is good to get legal advice. This is why it's really good to get legal representation. And it's, you know, sometimes it's just best to have a lawyer because they go through all these things for you. So those are all my tips. Also do lots of your own research, because I'm based in UK. I'm facing an employment tribunal, and my my criteria may differ to yours, so you may not necessarily be able to go by the recommendations that I've made, because you may be in a different country, you may be in a different circumstance, and you just might be a whole different kettle of fish. So make sure you do your own research and look things up for yourself. Don't assume we're in the same boat. I'm just giving tips. Okay, so just as a recap, find out what your word count is, if there is one. Make sure your witness statement is typed and not handwritten. If you don't have the resources to type you if you don't have the resources to type it, speak to your legal representative or your advisor, or or reach out to the court if you don't have the resources to type your statement, or perhaps go to the library. um each paragraph should be numbered. Use 1.5 line spacing and at least a 12-point font. That's easy to read. As I was saying, what I done is that I had headers on each section covering each claim. So I had headers and then I addressed the legal issues. I thought it might be easier doing it that way. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Hopefully it is, but we'll see. Reference the relevant documents by their page number in brackets after mentioning them. So if you make a comment, open brackets, write down the page number of the relevant documentation, and then close brackets. So the person reading your statement can refer to the bundle and refer to the indicated document. And due to that, because of that, you don't need to quote lots of words from the bundle, because if you're signpost if you're in like if you're putting the page numbers in brackets, you don't necessarily need to like quote sentences in your statement, because the person can just go over to the bundle, read what you're referring to, then go back. I have quoted a couple of things from their bundle, but it's just basic words, like just one or two words where people have just made comments, but not lines and lines of quotation. Say what happened in the order that it happened. So try not to be all over the place. Again, I think I may be guilty of that in my one, just because of being so nervous. But just try and go in the order of what's happened. Um, Focus on key issues. Don't get distracted. What I done, I tried to answer all the legal questions. That's the way I done it. Be clear, concise, calm, and respectful. Don't disrespect anybody in your statement. Don't be rude or insulting. Um, be honest and objective. Avoid exaggerating or embellishing what happened. I mean, everybody has different personality types, but if somebody criticizes me or makes mention of an unflattering point about me, I can agree with it. I'm not going to fight you on everything. There's things you might say about me, I'll be like, yeah, yeah, it's true. you know, and I'm not out here trying to say that I'm perfect. So I have no interest in trying to defend myself against every single comment that comes under the sun. So be objective, just put your hands up, like, you know, if you're trying to say that I was late a couple of times, yeah, I was. So just be objective. Just don't try and fight every corner but obviously that depends on the nature of what your case is. So, you know, don't, do what's right for you. Go with your legal advice. Um, be clear and accurate in your witness statement for the employment tribunal, so the court can make informed decisions. The court needs to make an informed decision, and so they would need clear and accurate information. So help them to help you is what I'm saying. Um, Also, where possible, um, have your witness statement contain facts and no opinions. Um, I mean, in my one, there were a couple of my opinions, um, which is probably useless, but I couldn't help expressing myself. But yeah, as far as you can, stick to the facts of the situation. Um, no false statements. No false statements. When you're being cross-examined, you will be caught out. Sometimes you can talk to people and sometimes you can talk to people about something and you can see that they're just trying to remember the right answer, and they're just concentrating so much on giving you the right answer. Sometimes you can tell they're not trying to remember what happened, they're just trying to remember the right answer. So sometimes body language and stuff can give away, you know, different things you might not be aware of. Um, some lawyers, some legal professionals, some representatives may give you a guidance and say, hey, you can follow this guidance. This is just a rough, you know, skeleton copy of what you may want to write, introduction, body, conclusion, and that's fine, that's fine. However, keep in mind that when you do attend court, you will need to affirm or swear that these are your words, and these are your words, right? And so you don't want to be in a position where you're being asked different things and you're actually contradicting yourself, because that looks dishonest. Okay? Well, it doesn't always look dishonest. Sometimes somebody just might be nervous. But what I'm saying is, as much as you can, com- prepare your statement yourself, is all I'm saying. Because there's nothing like knowing your stuff inside out. You know, you're already going to be nervous, but you don't need that added pressure of not actually knowing, what people are talking about. One of the things as well that I didn't do that probably would have been really helpful is while you are preparing your statement, to print it out and go over it. So it can be very useful to print out your statement, have a hard copy, highlight it, go to sleep, have something to eat, and the following day to go back to it, and to do that over like, a 5 day period, 5 day, 7 day period. That can be really helpful. Just being able to go away from it, have a sleep, have something to eat, come back to it, go away, come back to it. That's really useful. Or some people just might prefer to just work on it online. That might be what's best for you. And yeah, do your thing. Again, be measured when you're documenting what has taken place. Be measured. I don't know. I mean, try and sift through the emotions. But I got emotional in my one. I tried not to, but I did get emotional. But I think with my one, although I did get emotional, you could see myself, you could read myself trying to steer back in the right direction. So I didn't become hysterical and just let off in my witness statement for the employment tribunal. I did actually keep trying to stay on course. So be measured, sift through emotions, go straight to the facts. And what helps is that if you can reference things that can be verified, that's really important in the bundle or by witnesses. Also, let your information be overarching, all encompassing, um, inclusive, across the board, all embracing. And let your witness statement for the employment tribunal, let it be something that you're comfortable reading out. I mean, if you don't usually use particular words, I personally don't feel like it's time to start using them, you know, and try not to use unnecessary words, words that aren't needed. If you can take 5 words to say something, you don't need to use 10. Okay. Also, as well, one of the things that I do is to look up words you don't know the meaning of. And like today, I wanted to use the word comprehensive, and I thought, hold on, what does that word even mean properly, actually? And I looked it up properly. So sometimes we can go around using words and stuff, and sometimes in the back of our minds, we kind of know what it means, but not exactly. So yeah, so look up words that you're not sure of. If anybody around you during the court proceedings uses a word you don't understand, just ask them what it means or ask them to repeat themselves. You know, there's no shame in that. We're all learning. We're all on the journey of, education, whether it be informal or formal. So that's the end of my live. I hope it was useful to you. I do feel like there's a big weight lifted off me now that we've exchanged witness statements. As I am representing myself, I will need to put together some questions for cross-examination. I also need to prepare to be cross-examined. And yeah, and I hope I can help anybody out there that's going through a similar thing. I hope people will be able to support me. Just send an email to the email address that I gave you and quote that case number, and they'll be able to give you access so you can join the live stream over the 6 days. And that will be starting on Wednesday, the 26th of March, up until Thursday, the 3rd of April. And it would be really good if I could go on live stream each evening and get feedback from you guys. That would be really, really helpful. Nobody likes to be in this situation, you know. Nobody likes to be in this situation. But it's just one of those things that needs to be dealt with when it happens. Just getting the text messages. Yeah, so that's all I have for you. Thank you for joining my live. Thank you for liking my live. And I will be back on live on Sunday after church. So thank you. Have a good evening. And I hope at least one or two of the tips has been useful for you. And I also hope that you do take me up on my request that you email the email address that I've given you, quote the case number, and join my live stream during the employment hearing next week. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Goodbye.